Hello, folks. This is Brandon Chapman with you. It's a TheoTrade video for May 4th. The market finally a little bit of a down day, probably the biggest down day we've seen since April 21st. But this really builds with the theme that I've been talking about for the last few weeks and kind of highlighted last week with the breakdown, the dispersion trade, right? We got post earnings for 5 of the 7 Mag 7 companies, and we saw the dispersion trade build as people were buying call options in stocks like Nvidia and selling options in the S&P, put specifically. And once we got through that earnings announcement from the 4 Mag 7 companies, Google, Meta, Amazon, and Microsoft, you saw that Nvidia was sold, right? This is the kind of that relief, essentially the unwind of the dispersion trade. And the question becoming, is this the beginning of something bigger? Well, you know, if we go back, and I'll just bring up the S&P 500 again, the corollary that we're seeing in dispersion goes back to the October timeframe and the 29th post Mag 7 earnings. It didn't necessarily yield a major sell-off right away, but in totality, we had about a 6% pullback from peak to trough in the S&P 500. We had about a 20% pullback from peak to trough in Nvidia. Just draw this down a little bit, 20% pullback. And for the Mag 7 stocks generally using the MAGS ETF, we experienced about a 10% pullback there. So again, inevitably, what we're seeing right now certainly is leading towards the potential of a correction to Mag 7. And in that circumstance, that for the S&P 500, it does potentially mean a 5 to 10% correction in the S&P 500 generally. And we did get that signal last Friday with the VIX 3M, and we're taking a ratio with the 1 month VIX, and we're looking at kind of future expectations of volatility. And right there, we hit 1.2, meaning that the 3 month VIX is 20% higher than the spot VIX or 30-day VIX. And that just signals that vol expectations are fairly peaked. And so when you have those conditions and you have skew that's north of 130, and we're seeing falling dispersion, this is certainly indicative of where the market traditionally probably corrects 5 to 10%. Now, whether we get it or not, I don't know, right? But today is really about, yes, potential weakness in the S&P 500, and certainly we look at a 2% sell-off in gold, a 3% sell-off in silver. I mean, the dollar may be strengthening today. And if we look at TLT, it's certainly not the bond market. The bond market's selling off. There are risks anyway, right? These are probably the most significant risks that we've seen for the market in a number of months, and at least going back as far as October of last year. And to see a 5 to 10% correction in the S&P would probably be fairly routine. It's just a matter from what point. But I think the advent of earnings last week, the little boost we got off of it, the turn today, I think it's probably reasonable in the near term, in the coming weeks, we might get a 5 to 10% pullback here. Now, in the face of that, what does that mean for the broader market? You know, if we look at sectors, I mean, virtually everything's down today. We're trying to rotate back to technology a little bit. You know, Nvidia did recover off its lows, but I do think this is one that we're probably going to see this kind of wilt. And Nvidia, if it breaks support here, this may roll back to 170 again. This is the same move it made last October, and it took about how many days? Well, let's just look at this little tool right here. It took about 21 bars or about a month. So again, this is not immediate. We might catch a bounce off support here, and we may head lower. And Nvidia has earnings coming up on May 20th. And if we look at last year, the earnings really didn't reproduce anything. We saw a gap up, then a sell-off, then we grinded out for many, many months. So I don't think the future right now after this big move is great for Nvidia. But as we look around, this is tied to that kind of AI space that's done really well. Well, guess what? There's an AI space that hasn't done so hot, and that's KWEB, right? This are internet stocks. These are Chinese internet stocks. Many of these companies have AI components to them, just like Microsoft or Apple or Meta does. And so as we think of this, is there the potential for reversal in AI stocks within China, just from a basic value perspective? So maybe we don't get the bigger sell-off, or maybe this might take us a month. And so looking for signs or indications that Chinese stocks may be reversing, well, that does kind of key off a little bit what might be happening in the Chinese yuan against the dollar. And if you notice right here, we did have a breakout in yuan going into the 14th of April. We're consolidating here, but if we see another breakout to the upside, we might see another stage of outperformance, which if you look over the last year, it's been pretty much a one-way street of the yuan against the dollar. So looking for any signs right now that maybe there could be some rotation towards China may not be a bad thing as an investor or as a trader, just anticipating maybe we get a bit of a boost here. And so when I think about that stuff and I'm like, well, what's the starting process in all this? It's really the block, right? So the idea is you can spend a lot of time looking around and trying to find opportunities. But the problem is that takes a lot of time in doing that, maybe hours a day, and you may not really see any fruits of your labors finding something relatively compelling or interesting. And this is really where ultimately using the block hunter console really makes this process easy, because you're focusing on institutional trades in the options market on stocks and ETFs. And so that really puts you at the forefront of where institutional money is going in the market, rather than trying to guess and speculate on where something may be going next. And if we look at the top two trades here, so if I filter, and all I'm doing is I'm looking for stuff being bought near the ask or above the ask or at the ask. I'm looking for stuff that's, not too far away from expiration or not in the money, but I'm looking for things that are likely being open. I'm using volume to value ratio here to do that. And you'll notice the top two trades today at 35 and 56,000 contracts when we got the alert were for KWEB and FXI. This little S tag here basically tells you that it's a spread. So if we look at FXI, what was the spread trade that was placed? So if I expand the location and we look at above the bid, I can see what? I can see they bought the 39 call near the ask, and then they did what? They sold the 42 call near the bid. So buying the 39, selling the 42, same expiration for mid-July, July 17, and the same number of contracts. So now if I want to look at the number specifically, I just click on location. I'll filter, let's look for 1,000 plus. You'll notice they traded 56,082 contracts in one trade, and they sold the same amount here. So if I click on that number, 56,082. So this is structured as a call spread, and the initial target's 39, but if we break 39, we could push so we kind of balance out towards 42. So if we apply that to the chart on FXI, and let's just go away from KWEB right now. FXI, this is kind of your bigger, large cap Chinese ETFs. And again, we're looking at the strike prices of the spread, 39, then 42 for mid-July. $39 is right here, $42 basically gets you back to the October 2nd high. All right, so we can target 39. That's reasonable to do in the next couple months as a value play. So if you're buying the stock here at 36.50, target 39, we probably have to risk about $1 in order to be able to give yourself room to be able to attain $39 in the coming couple months. You could also look for options, buying calls, for example, or potentially a call spread, and just look 45 days out and just kind of take the out the money, buy the 37, sell the 39. You're probably closing it if we get close to 38.50 here. So many options to be able to trade the FXI move that may be pending. The most limited risk, higher reward possibility is really for a smaller move is the spread trade. The call option, going maybe in the money a little bit for 45 days or possibly maybe out 57, buying around the 36 or 35 strike. You're going to have to risk about 30% of that strike price right there. So about 60 cents. You carry similar risk, but ultimately if there's a large gap, which happens sometimes in Chinese stocks and others, it does protect you owning the call, but a little bit better probability buying the stock here, risking about $1. Well, let's look at KWEB. Now in KWEB, we're looking at the chart here already, but as we take a peek at the option story that's playing out, and I'm just going to click, type in KWEB here. We'll just focus on all the trades on KWEB. We'll expand this out to stuff trade at the bid. Notice that the spread trade, similar to FXI, they're buying the 17 July 31 call at or near the ask, in this case at the ask, and they're selling at the bid the 35 call. So again, short-term target 31, but if we break 31, we might expand, limiting a little bit at the 35 level. But again, significant number of contracts traded today, and that's where we're keying off, right? We're looking for these big trades as a function of identifying where institutional money's going. They're buying 1,000 more contracts. They're not retail traders. So if we notice 31, maybe expanding out to 35 by when? Again, as we look at the expiration here, the expiration's for mid-July again. So we have a couple of months for this move to take place, but initially targeting 31. Well, you could buy a 29 and sell a 31 call and close it about 30 and a quarter, 30 and a half, or You could buy an in-the-money call, maybe 28, possibly 27, or you could just buy stock. Initially targeting 31. Maybe you take half the trade off at 31, but then leave a runner towards 35 if we break. So the point being is that we're seeing right now is that the market's turning its attentions, at least institutions, the so-called smart money, they're turning towards China. That may be the best value play, especially KWEB, when we're looking at technology and AI. Now, another stock today that's experiencing some strength is Lee Motors. And I probably got to reset my filters here to expand it just a little bit. You got to dig for this one a little bit. But in this case, 2,500 contracts, mostly bought in 2 prints for May 8th, the 1850 strike. Now, this stock does have earnings coming up. And if I bring up Lee, in this case, over 2,000 would be a significant trade. The earnings are coming up on May 12th. The expiration's May 8th. So this is before the earnings, but we're looking at 1850 here. But if we break 1850, this has the potential to create a bit of a squeeze. So you might be looking for 19, maybe even 19 and a half. And if we get a big move before the earnings going into this Friday, again, just close it profitably at the end of the week. Don't carry it through. Or if you want to buy more time, if it's profitable, close it before the earnings. But if it slips back here, you have a little time that it could recoup if the earnings come out positively. Now, as we look at Lee, this is a stock we can look at. Is there any short interest here? It's relatively minimal, even though the short ratio is moderately high at a 5.1. The level of short interest is relatively low. But again, I think right now, looking at Chinese stocks from a value perspective, assuming the Chinese yuan strengthens against the dollar, particularly if treasuries continue to sell off, this might be a scenario that could play out positively for Chinese stocks, and maybe the potential that even China intervenes as well in the equity markets. Well, folks, that's all we got for today. We'll catch you next week's video. You have a great one. Thank you.